Hello, gorgeous people. Let me pull up my top so it doesn't look like I'm naked. I am currently dog sitting. Pocket was just sat here, but he's run away, which is sad. I'm having a coffee out my favourite mug. And I am doing nothing. I have been listening to Anything Goes, Emma Chamberlain's podcast. Just always a classic. I think I've listened to about 3 episodes today. I took the dogs for a walk this morning and I've just kind of been doing nothing. I'm so tired today. I went out last night. When I say went out, like I had a few drinks at a pub. Like it wasn't a wild night at all. But I think it was just a busy day. At the moment, I don't have any curtains in my room, so I've been waking up really early in the morning. So I've not been getting as much sleep as I usually do. And because I got back later last night, I got even less sleep than usual. So that wasn't ideal. So I'm just really tired today and I've not got anything desperate to do. So I've just been taking it as a day off, to be honest. Let's ignore this claw clip situation. I was like lying back on the sofa, so I put my hair up. I've literally got nothing to say. I've got nothing to add. I might watch a film and just chill with the dogs. Hello. I thought I'd just add a little segment into this vlog because over the past 2 weeks I have read 5 books and I wanted to give a little review. The first book I read was A Court of Silver Flames, the final book in the ACOTAR series. This is my friend's book and I took it on holiday and I have ruined it. So sorry, Emma Lou, because this book is literally in pieces now. I liked this book. I much preferred it to the novella, which was number 4. I think it was maybe 3.5 for me. It was okay. It was just really big and I don't think it needed to be that big, and I was just really glad I took it on holiday with me, because if I hadn't have taken it on holiday with me, I think it would have been a while before I'd finished the book. So yeah, that's how I felt about that one. The next book I read, Convenience Store Woman. I read this because it's supposed to be quite similar to Eleanor Oliphant Is Perfectly Fine, which I loved. I really loved that book. So when I'd heard that that one was similar, I was like, oh, I'll give it a go. It wasn't great. I didn't love it. It was only 100 pages long, and I just felt like there wasn't enough character development in it for me to love the characters. And I was just kind of like bored. I don't know, maybe I didn't understand it, but I didn't love it. I rated that one 5 stars. Then I read Abby Jimenez, I think that's how you pronounce her name, Just for the Summer, which I loved. I loved this book and I have told all of my friends to go and read it. It was a absolute 5-star for me. I loved the characters. I think for me a 5-star book has to have some sort of relatability to it, or it just has to be a really, really good book. But for me, I really related to Emma, which made me love it even more, because when I feel like I'm reading about myself, I love it. Maybe I'm just too vain. I think it's really hard to get a romance book right. For it to be a good romance book, they have to have their own side quests. It can't just be about what's going on between them. And there was like a lot of backstory to it, which I feel like is quite hard to get in a lot of newer popular romance books. I feel like they're all quite one level. This was my favourite quote from Just for the Summer. "The love story sold us the wrong thing. The best kind of love doesn't happen on moonlit walks and romantic vacations. It happens between the folds of everyday life. It's not grand gestures that show you how you feel. It's all the little secret things you do to make her life better that you never tell her about. Taking the end piece of the bread at breakfast so she can have the last middle piece for her sandwich when you pack her lunch. Making sure her car has always got gas so she never has to stop at the pump. Telling her you're not cold and to take your jacket when in fact you are very, very cold. It's watching TV on a rainy Sunday whilst you're doing laundry and turning her light off when she's fallen asleep reading, sharing pizza crusts and laughing about something the kids did, and taking care of each other when you're sick. It isn't glamorous, it isn't all butterflies and stars in your eyes. It's real. This is the kind of love that forever is made of. Because if it's this good when life is draining and mundane and hard, think of how wonderful it will be when the love songs are playing and the moon is out." It happened one summer. I hated this book. I'd heard so many good things about it, and I did think, I don't think I'm gonna love this book, but it was £1 on my Kindle, and it was a summery book. I thought it would be a good beach read, and I was like, let's give it a go. I didn't like either of the characters. I didn't sympathise with them. There was nothing that like drew me in, and I was like, oh, I really hope it works out for them. Like there was no point of that. Like whenever anything bad happened, I was like, oh. Both of the characters were just so two-dimensional. I just didn't really like either of them. The next book I read was The Beach by Alex Garland, which isn't a romance. It's about a boy who's travelling Thailand, and I really liked it. I rated it 4 stars. When I was first reading this book, I really thought it was like a first-hand account of like his travels in Thailand. And then they started dying and killing each other. And I was like, oh, it's probably not a real story. I think I would have heard about it and I would have read about it in the news. I really liked this book. It kind of gave me Lord of the Flies vibes. And it was really interesting, especially just having travelled myself. I related to a lot of the things he was saying, and it was just really well written and really drew me in. Like, it was one of those books that I didn't really think about when I wasn't reading it, but when I was reading it, I was hooked and invested, and it was keeping me up because I usually read before I go to bed, and I had to read for a good hour before I was like, okay, I've read enough. I should probably go to sleep now, which is always a sign of a good book. This was one of my favourite quotes from The Beach. "Underwater had always had the qualities of a refuge for me. Calming, blinding, deafening, a perfect escape. It worked too, enveloping me in an ominous coolness, but in an unavoidably temporary way. Without gills, I had to keep surfacing, and as soon as I surfaced, my mind resumed its circular debates." Now I am reading One Day, which I'm very, very excited about. I'm 1 chapter in, so I have nothing to say about it yet, apart from the fact that I have already watched the series, which is very unlike me. Usually I try to read the book before I go for the series, but I didn't do that this time, and the series broke me, as I think it broke everyone who watched it. I loved it, so I'm very excited to read the book, and so far I am loving it. I'm loving the way it's written. It's all just doing it for me at the moment, so I'm very excited about that, and I will come to you with my final reviews. So that is my book reviews for the past 2 weeks. I hope you enjoyed. If you want me to continue doing things like this, let me know. Or if this was really boring and you want to just get past, also let me know. I'm happy to take on feedback.